With this class, we're going to take a look at how to find or how to factor out a trinomial, specifically ones where a does not equal to 1. You'll see the title there is a little bit off, but it's not equal to 1. And we're going to take a look at a method called logical reasoning. Now, logical reasoning, and we're going to throw this up here. We're going to try to factor this into two binomials. Okay, so our two binomials are going to look a little bit like this. We're going to have the first one that has two pieces in there, the second one that has two pieces in there. I'm going to reference grid method as well as we go through. And if you haven't done grid method before, that's okay. You don't need to do it in order to understand a little bit of kind of the process of logical reasoning factoring as well. Logical reasoning can be done extremely quickly, and we can figure it out just by looking at it and looking at patterns that work. But it could also take a lot of time if we don't recognize the patterns right away. So going back to what we've done, what you've hopefully done in the past with multiplying binomials, we know that the first two pieces of our two binomials, they multiply to get our front. So that's kind of that first box in grid method. So whatever those two are, need to multiply to get 4h squared. Now, with 4h squared, there are a couple options that they could be. If it was just h squared, not the 4, there's only one option. It's just h times h. But because we have that 4 there, it makes it, there's more options available. And we'll look at that in just a little bit. The second part is the last two pieces, and we know that they multiply to get the 9. That happens to be the last box in our grid method. So whatever those two pieces are, they're going to multiply to get 9. Well, to get 9, we have a couple of options, again, and which we'll look at in just a minute. Now, the other two boxes, the two black boxes that you see there, those ones are going to add together to get the 20h. And so that's what we have to try to figure out, what combination is going to help us to get that 20h. Well, let's start with the factors that would make 4h squared. I'm going to put them up on the screen here that you can see. So 4h squared could be a combination of h times 4h, or it could be a combination of 2h and 2h. Those are the only options we have for 4h squared. Depending on the number we have, the coefficient we have, will depend on how many options we have when it comes to when you can factor them. In this case, it's only two options, so it keeps it a little bit simpler. Now, the second piece is the 9, and so we can also look at pairs of factors that equal 9. We could do 1 and 9 or 3 and 3. So again, we only have two options, which again limits the options we have and makes this logical reasoning a little bit easier. Now, how do we figure out which pair of each are we going to use? This is where you can maybe look and see and say, it's this one and that pair, and it works. Perfect. Or we might have to do a bit of a guess and check method to get this to work. And this is where it could take longer or it could go shorter. So let's look at an example, and I'm just going to pick out random pairs. So I'm going to pick this pair for 4h squared. We're going to do the h and 4h pair, and we're going to pick this pair for the 9, the 3 and 3. So we're going to now see, is this the right combination that works? Now this is where, again, it could take a while, or we might have found the right answer right away, and we have our answer quickly. I'm going to write them like this. Okay, so to figure it out, I'm going to write it down again. I'm still going to use pencil paper to do this, and we're going to try to figure out what is our right combination. So take our h's, we'll put them one on top of the other. Take our numbers, put them one on top of another, and now we're going to what's called multiply across. So I'm going to multiply across 4h times 3, and that gives us 12h, and we're going to say that that's one of our missing boxes. And then I'm going to multiply h and 3 together, and that gives us 3h, and that's going to be our other missing box. Okay, so the two first ones gave us the first box, the two last ones gave us the last box, and now we're trying to figure out the two combinations which will give us the middle, or the other two boxes, which will combine to give us our middle term. Now, does 12h and 3h add to our middle term? Well, is 15h 20h? No, it is not. Okay, so this one, in fact, that combination does not work. Shoot, that sucks. All right, we need to figure out a different combination. So let's get rid of that. We're not going to do the first and last this time. Let's figure out a different one. And randomly, I'm going to take the 2's and I'm going to take the 1 and the 9. Just because, well, I'm going to use it this time. So let's do the same thing. Let's put them one on top of another. Let's cross multiply. So again, multiplying from bottom to top here and top to bottom, and we get 2h and 18h. Do these add to 20h? Well, that works. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have found a combination that works. Now, this is going to help us to translate it to our binomials. 2h and 1 is going to slide into our first binomial right there, and 2h and 9 is going to slide into the second binomial. So with logical reasoning, again, if we see quickly which pairs are going to multiply to get our middle term, it's going to go really quick, and you can find these extremely quick. If you don't see it right away, you might need to go through a number of kind of challenges or tries or guesses to try to find the right answer. Now, the other thing to be aware of as well is I can flip the order. So in this case, I put the 1 on top and the 9 on the bottom. I could have flipped it and then the 9 on top and the 1 on the bottom. Because the left-hand side there, the 2's are the same, it doesn't change it. But if we had h and 4h and then 1 and 9, we could flip one of the sets and come up with a completely different orientation as well. So again, there's lots of different possibilities, which will come into play as well.